Hi guys, it's Skill Jim. It's been a while since I did a PSVR video on this channel. Believe it or not, around 2 years ago I did a video on every single physical PSVR release so far. That was 2 years ago, and a few of you have pointed out that obviously it's a bit outdated now, so I thought I would do an updated video showing off every single physical PSVR release so far as of the end of May 2020. To the best of my knowledge anyway, this is every physical release that I think is available. So basically what I'm going to show you first is games that have a PSVR logo at the top there, like a band on the top, and also this is from the point of view of someone living in the UK or someone looking to get at least as close to English as a language for the game as possible. So first things first, let's take the first game for example, A-Train EXP here. This was released in Japan, and in fact I bought the Japanese version originally, but then Limited Run Games released this in America as a limited run. Obviously this is a English translated release, so in the end I sold my Japanese version and picked up this version instead. So with that out of the way, with that knowledge going in, that every game I'm going to show you now is as close to what you would be looking for an English language or a PAL region territory physical release, let's get going. So first game, A-Train EXP. I'm going to show you inside what comes with it. So we've got a limited run trading card, looks like Mount Fuji with a Shinkansen at the bottom there, and there's not really a manual, just a little warning notice little leaflet thing in there. I'm not going to do too much talking, I'm just going to show the box from all angles and then move on. Next up is Accounting Plus. It's another limited run with another trading card there. Same thing there, looks like we've got a double-sided sheet inside there, you can see. And this release actually came as a limited edition. Pretty cool limited edition box with this guy that talks. You have to hit him though.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Get out of here! Fuck you! This is my tree world! This is my tree place! Don't tweet me! What are you? Who are you? Fuck you! What are you squeezing me for? Who gave you the right to squeeze me?
So it's quite a funny thing, it's got loads of voices. I mean, you can hit that for about 5 to 10 minutes and every voice is different. It's pretty cool. It comes with a coin. Quite a weighty, hefty coin that. We've got a soundtrack which I haven't opened. And is that anything there? No, and the last thing is a poster. It's like it's a single-sided poster. Best I can to show that off there. There you go, that'll do. So that was Accounting Plus, the limited edition version from Limited Run Games. Put him back there and there. Break him through. Set him one more time. And next up is Ace Combat 7. Code thing there. I've got to say this video might get a bit boring. It's literally just for people looking to collect for PSVR. So unless you just like looking at physical release games for about half an hour, then whatever floats your boat. Apex Construct, sorry I didn't even say what the game was. Apex Construct. Next up is Arizona Sunshine. nothing inside there. Next we've got Arc Park, another game that was released in, I think it was Japan, but there was also a Hong Kong version as well. And then it did end up getting a, I think this was a PAL release, or was it American? Don't really know how you can tell. Yeah, I think it was PAL because the American releases tend to have a little extra VR logo on there. So that's completely in English. We've got Astrobot Rescue Mission. Great game. This is probably one of the top 5 PSVR games to own. Then we've got ATV Drift and Tricks Definitive Edition. This, with it being the Definitive Edition, includes motorbikes apparently. There is obviously a regular edition, but I upgraded to the Definitive Edition and the game is pretty crap anyway, so I wouldn't really recommend upgrading or downgrading. I don't know why you downgrade. But yeah, if you want to own everything, I think this was only released in America actually, the Definitive Edition. You can get the regular edition PAL, but this, I'm pretty sure this is American, and there you go, yeah, like I said about the logo thing. That is an American release. Then we've got Batman Arkham VR, be the Batman. A little sheet with virtually nothing inside there. Batman VR. And we've got Star Wars Battlefront Ultimate Edition. Ultimate Edition is, I think, the only edition that has the VR band. That's because it includes the Rogue One VR story, which I don't even think is on the disc. So it's just something to download. In fact, I'm pretty sure the disc is identical to the basic release. So what is actually, oh, I think they just give you this season pass thing. Yeah, that's all it is. So that's literally the only difference. That and the front cover with the VR band in there. Like I say, the mission you have to actually download anyway, so there's not much point to that. Next up is Battle Wake. This is from a company called Perp Games, who've published and given us this physical release. And a lot of the time, if you buy the game directly from the Perp store, as soon as it's available to buy anyway, there's a handful of games that you can get signed for pretty much the same price, classed as like the limited edition. And this was one of them. So this is Battle Wake. It's signed by the whole team there who've worked on the game. There's some signatures on the back. So that's really cool to own. So I would suggest, if you're interested in getting games like this that could be signed by the team as well, check out the Perp store, and especially check them out as they announce a game, because as soon as it's available to pre-order from the website, there's like 25 copies perhaps that you can get that are going to be signed, which is really cool. Next up is Battlezone. This was a launch title, wasn't it? And then next up we've got Blind. And next up, Blood and Truth. Hopefully, I do put my games in alphabetical order, so hopefully I haven't messed up the order at all. Prone to do that mistake occasionally. Here's Box VR, another Perp release with the signed case there. Pretty cool, this one on the back there. Bravo Team. Next up is Concrete Genie. And next is Cool Paint VR Deluxe. Obviously, signed for again. Deluxe version includes brand new voxel DLC. Is that a code or something? Yeah, there you go. So there's just a password there to download Deluxe Edition extra content. Next up, Crazy Machines VR, another signed release from Perp Games. And next is Creed Ride to Glory from Perp Games. You'll find, especially after a lot of the launch titles, it's companies like Perp Games that have actually taken over the physical releases. So you'll see that there's quite a lot of Perp releases in this collection of physical PSVR games. Here's another one. It's Carly and the Reaperman Escape from the Underworld. Next up is Kreutzler Sigma, I think I pronounced that right. So there's a little bit of a story to this one. This is the Japanese release because it has the VR band across there. There is another one that Limited Run Games actually released, but their version doesn't actually have the VR content on the disc, even though at the time I think they assumed it would, or they were hoping it would. But actually the Limited Run Games doesn't have the VR mode. It's only for the Japanese release there, and it's only the Japanese release that actually has that VR band. So that's Kreutzler Sigma. Next up is Demo Reborn. Again, this is another Asian release. I think this is the Hong Kong version. Yeah, packaging printed in Hong Kong. So it is available in Japan, but obviously that's in completely in Japanese subtitles. The Hong Kong version actually has English as a subtitle option, and obviously that's in English as well. And the spine there also comes with a little keyring. Next up is Deracine. Deracine. I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly. It's a cool game from Software, makers of Bloodborne and Dark Souls, etc. Like to have the logo facing up. An advert for Astrobot inside. There's a nice little interior to the sleeve. That was Deracine. Next up is Dirt Rally. This is the PSVR version. There is an original release that doesn't have that VR band, and the only reason is because it includes the VR DLC in the box, not on the disc. So again, it's another one that you have to download there. There's the VR content. So the spine. Let's do it, Rally. Next up is Disaster Report 4, recently released in PAL territories. Was for quite a while, maybe a year or maybe even 2 years, only available in Japan. I did have a Japanese version, and again I sold it to get the PAL version so I could play it in English. Did I show you inside? Can't remember if I showed you inside. I picked up the limited edition version of Disaster Report, and it came with this cool emergency backpack. There's a little pocket here, and it's got a first aid kit and a little bag. Not quite sure. Oh, it's kind of like a wallet, passport, travel holder thing. In the box was the game, and also I think that might just be it, just the soundtrack on CD. was it. I'm not sure it's worth the extra money really, but the bags are really cool. It's got a nice feel to it. Next up is Don't Knock Twice. And we've got Doom VFR rather. It's got a few little pamphlets in. One for Skyrim. And also it's got a cool back to the sleeve, as you can see. Controls inside. Next up is Downward Spiral Horror Station. Here is Doctor Who: The Edge of Time. Next up is Drive Club VR. Eagle Flight. Eve Valkyrie. Everybody's Golf VR. Not to be confused with the standard edition. This is specifically the VR Everybody's Golf. And we've got Farpoint. And notice this says not to be sold separately. That's because this came packed, bundled with the AIM controller. The big gun. Here's another game that you can use the big gun with, the AIM controller, is Firewall 0 Hour. Next up, we've got Fruit Ninja VR. And next is a cool release, Ghost Giant, the Deluxe Edition, signed by the team there. Okay, this version actually came with a vinyl record as well from Perp Games. Really nice artwork there on the back. And the record itself is nice blue. Okay, next up is Gollum. This is signed by the team on the Perp Games release. And this version, I think it's actually labelled there, includes exclusive content. This box copy includes a downloadable version of the musical soundtrack, which is like a prequel to the game. Whereas I don't think I've used that actually, so if you want to grab that, by all means, go for it. And that is because I have the version that came with the actual record there. This is a musical prequel to Gollum. And oh, it's double gatefolded. It's pretty cool. You can see all that on the pack picture. Let's get the record out. Oops, quite tight in there. There we go. It's just a black record. Very nice. Okay, next up is Gran Turismo Sport, or the full title, Gran Turismo, the Real Driving Simulator Sport. couple of little pamphlets in there. There's a free game for you. That's you. I'm sure that game was free anyway, wasn't it? Or at least it was at one point. Next is Groundhog Day, Like Father, Like Son. And as you can see again, this is signed by the team. Quite a lot of signatures on that. There's the same pamphlet in there. Next up we've got Gungrave VR. This is a loaded coffin special limited edition. I think this is just the PAL release. There was a big limited edition in Japan. It came with like some extra things, probably soundtrack, etc. But like I say, I'm trying to collect mainly for PAL territory or as English as possible, really. So I just got the regular edition here. Well, the loaded coffin edition. If there was such thing as an unloaded coffin edition, then that's the one I did not get. There you go. I don't know if I showed you the back, but if I did, you've seen it twice now. Next up, we've got Heavy Fire Red Shadow. And here's Here They Lie. Next up is Homestyle VR Special Edition. This is obviously a Japanese release. There is no other release. It's just available in Japan, this game. Not quite sure what's special about it. I'm pretty sure it's the only version you can get. Next up is Home Sweet Home. Here's another Perp Games signed release. It's for Honor and Duty D-Day All Out War Edition. Contains additional digital extras. Again, I'm not sure if there is an edition that doesn't have this stuff, but it's, what's that, just a digital book? Art book, cool maps of the battlefields, and an exclusive developer video. Next up is Hustle Kings VR. And here's Intruders Hide and Seek. Next up we've got another Japanese only release. It's a baseball game from 2018 called Jikyo Powerful Puroyaku. That's my Japanese voice. I have to put up when you pronounce Japanese. You change your whole position of your tongue. Next up, we've got Job Simulator. Quite a rare game, I think, this is actually, in physical form anyway. Next up we've got Jupiter and Mars. It's a limited run games edition. Spin that around there, so we've got a trading card, like they like to do. And there's nothing going on there. Here is Killing Floor Double Feature, which is Killing Floor 2. VR not required, and Killing Floor Incursion, sorry, which VR is required. There's 2 games on here. DLC. Next up is Light Tracer. This one was released by Limited Run, and this is actually you'll see a bit later. These compilation of games by Oasis Games. This is actually on their compilation, but Limited Run decided to release some of the games individually for some reason. So they've got their own physical releases. And next up is Loading Human Chapter 1. Not 100% if they ever actually released Chapter 2 or beyond, but at least not physically anyway. Only the first chapter is available physically. Next up is Mars Odyssey. And we've got Mega Dimension Neptunia VR, or VIIR. Just double check, yeah, okay, so this is the PAL version. There was a Japanese version that was released quite a while before the PAL version came out. So this was another situation where I sold the Japanese version to get the PAL version. So we've got a little bit more of a booklet, and there's a double-sided cover there, just in case you see one side and not the other and wonder what's going on. Next up is Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams. Here is Moss. Next up is Motor Racer 4, MR4. I think, if I'm thinking right, I think this is pretty much the same game as ATV Drift and Tricks. I think it was just a reskin, someone said. I haven't actually played them enough to know, but I'm pretty sure some of the courses in this game were just reused in ATV Drift and Tricks, and they just reskinned these motorbikes into those quad bike things and released them as separate games. So just be mindful that that is probably, I think, pretty much the same game. Here is Neon Wall. This was a limited run release. So we've got a training card. Here is, ooh, something Heroes, I forgot. No, okay, yeah, No Heroes Allowed VR. So this is it was released in China, but I think this is the Hong Kong release. I think it might also be released in Japan, but this has got the English subtitles. You can see at the bottom there. So it's always good to double check that if you can. And just make sure that this is the one that's got the English subtitles. Here's No Man's Sky Beyond. Oops, go that way. Next up is the Oasis Games compilation I told you about. This is the VR Fun Pack. Hong Kong release. It's got English subtitles, and it's got 4 games. Light Tracer, that I told you about, was released separately by Limited Run Games. And another game that was released separately by Limited Run Games was Pixel Gear. At one point it seemed like they would release all 4 games separately. This has got a little bit of a booklet going on here. A bonus code for something there. Reborn bonus code. Okay, next up we've got Operation Warcade. And we've got Paper Dolls. Next is Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul. Looks like an American only release there, just noticed. Unless I just happened to get the American version. Here is Penn Teller Vr, frankly, unfair, unkind, unnecessary, and underhanded. Same again, looks to be a US only release. So that is Penn Teller Vr, FU, UU, and U. Next is an interesting one because you might have remembered in my previous all PSVR physical release games back 2 years ago, I had the Japanese version that was a bit bigger pack, included soundtracks, but just because I like to be as PAL as possible, I ended up selling that. Even though the soundtracks were amazing, but I did rip them to my PC, so I could still listen to them. And I instead opted for this English release. At least it takes up less room on my shelf anyway. It's got 2 games in there. It's got Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight, and Persona 5, Dancing in Starlight. It's the Endless Night Collection. Nice, shiny sleeve. Okay, next up is Ping Pong VR Table Tennis Simulator. Show the back there. And we've got Pixel Gear, that's the other game that I was on about just. Was part of the Oasis Games collection and is released physically here separately by Limited Run Games. Training card, nothing else going on there. Next up is 3 separate physical releases we've got here. We've got the PlayStation VR demo disc. Now, these are only released in America for some reason, at least in a big physical case. Europe did get the demo disc, but ours actually came in a little sleeve. Probably the same disc. Actually, let's find out. Oh, the American release is a bit darker. This was bundled with the VR headset at launch. Like I say, the physical release here is only available in America. Here is Demo Disc 2, again released only in America, physically like this, as far as I'm aware anyway, and this was bundled with the next version of the headset. Here's Demo Disc 3, same again, released only in America. Again, this was released alongside a more updated, newer bundle of the headset. Next we got PlayStation VR Worlds. Okay, next up is another Limited Run Games release. This is Polybius. Show the side there. Awesome game this is actually. That's training card. And that as well. Next up is Prison Boss VR. I think this is another limited run. Yep, another limited run VR release. I'll show you the side there. There's the back. Here's a trading card. And that's pretty cool. It's got like a double-sided cover going on. There we go. Next up is Project Lux. And again, this is another limited run VR release. Here's Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. Includes a voucher for the original classic game, Psychonauts. I think I've used that, but if I haven't, there you go, enjoy. Next up is Qua Infernal Machines. Here's Quiver, or PSVR. Signed by someone there on the team. Perp Games limited edition release there with the signature. Pretty cool. Next up is Radial G Racing Revolved. Next is another limited run games release, Race the Sun. Don't know why the discs are always so upside down. So, training card, and this pamphlet's normally just black inside. There we go. Next is Red Matter. It's a limited run as well. There's quite a few limited run games releases as well. Seems to be like them and Perp Games keeping the physical scene alive, as far as VR goes anyway. Next up is the Gold Edition of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. There's quite a few releases for this game, so just check which cover you prefer. They've all got the VR banding at the top there. I think this is the latest one, but there might be even a newer version that's like complete version. I'm not quite sure. But this is the one I got. I think it's just got a little bit more content on the disc, perhaps, or at least triggers some downloads when you put the disc in. Next up is Rus Infinite. This was a limited release by I Am 8-Bit, I think, from memory. And it came with a flashy sleeve, but unfortunately I think they printed them wrong, and one side's upside down, and then they claimed it was like printed like that to sort of represent like a manga cover, but it didn't really make much sense. But I just got the original cover there, which is fine for me. Next we've got Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. This is the American version that comes with the limited edition box. It's pretty cool. And inside there's a poster. That's pretty cool. That side's made to look like the Last of Us. And on this side, it's pretty cool as well. And it also comes with a Funko Pop. We've got Weaponized Rick. Okay, next we've got Riggs. Mechanized Combat League. Here is Robinson the Journey. And then it's Roller Coaster Tycoon Joyride. Next up is Untitled VR. And this was released by Perp Games with a cool steelbook case. Next we got Smash Hit Plunder. Here's Space Junkies. Next up is Squishies, signed by the team. Perp Games, Perp Store. Highly recommend Perp Store. If you want to get your games signed as well. And the last stack here. So first up is Star Trek Bridge Crew. A couple of little pamphlets there. Here is Starblood Arena. And a couple of interesting releases now. So this is Summer Lesson. This is actually the Hikari Miyamoto. There's a few things to know about this. So this was released in Japan first originally. And what we got? I think there's 3 girls, separate releases. I think. Okay, so yeah, okay, so there's this release in Japan, and then there's another one that's got the 2 other girls, and then there's a 3rd version that's got all 3 included in one package. But like I say, I'm just looking to get as most English versions as possible. So this was released in Hong Kong with English subtitles. So this is the Summer Lesson Hikari Miyamoto. So next up, we've got the Hong Kong version. Make sure it's got English there. It's got the other 2 girls, Alison Snow and Shinjo Chisato. There's actually a couple of versions of this as well. There's one that's got English on the side. Unfortunately, mine didn't come like that. And these games are too expensive really to go for a little bit of English on the spine, so I'm happy with this one. It is in English. It's still one of the English releases. Comes in this particular version, actually comes with a cool little keychain as well. So that's fine for me. Here is Super Hot VR. Next we've got Super Stardust Ultra VR. When in doubt, just add VR at the end of your title. Next is Syndrome. Here is Tekken 7. Very minimal PSVR content on this, despite the branding. Oh, it's got some stickers, some VR points. Okay, next up, Tetris Effect. Looks to be only released in America. We've got the American Dream, a Samurai Punk virtual reality trip. Here is Angry Birds 2 movie, Under Pressure VR, signed by the team here. It's Perp release, of course. It's nice to have all the signatures on there. Next is the VR double pack from Dreams, Perp as well. We've got the Assembly and Perfect combined. However, the disc is just the Assembly and Perfect is a download code. I know positively I've used that, so that shouldn't work, I don't think. Okay, next we've got the Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets. Played this one recently, and it's a really fun game actually. Short, but really nicely designed, and just a fun experience overall. Here is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR. Couple of little leaflets here. One advertising Doom VFR. And a little booklet. Can't believe it's that. How is it that old already? Coming December the 1st, 2017. That's nuts. Next up is The Impatient. Next up is The Invisible Hours. And we've got The Persistence. I think Perp Games are actually coming out with their own version of The Persistence, but from what I remember seeing, I don't think it's got the VR banding for some reason. So if that is something you want to collect for, the VR banding on the packaging, you want to get the original release of The Persistence. Here is the Wizards Enhanced Edition from Perp Games. Loads of signatures on this one. That's why it's enhanced, because it comes with a deluxe edition content there. Art book possibly, and including a new level and cutscenes for the story campaign. Okay. Deluxe pack also includes the following digital items: 3D printable model, 4K wallpapers, and printable game art posters. Next is Theseus. And we've got Time Carnage. Next up is Thumper. It's a limited run game, sorry, edition. It's the shiny card. It's actually got a cool manual here. Nice, you don't often see that these days. Nice full colour manual. And this release in particular, Games of Collector's Edition. Nice shiny box. Bah. Let's have a quick look inside. Let's see if I can get it out. So it comes with soundtrack on CD, comes with a cool pin, there's a steelbook, that's really nice, isn't it? And under here, a couple of extra little things. A second. Let's check this out first. I think these are some sort of art cards. The stage, isn't it? Nice, high quality prints. And it comes with a poster. Nice big double-sided poster. That's an awesome little package actually. Okay, next up is To The Top, VR platforming game. This is another limited run games release. I forgot they did so many, to be honest. Haven't done one for a while though. Next up is Tokyo Chronos. This was actually a Kickstarter game, and in the end, Limited Run Games did the physical release for them. So there's actually two versions. This is the one that the backers got, if you back the physical edition version. And there's also one that was available on the website, on Limited Run Games. This one actually doesn't have a typical Limited Run Games card, trading card. I'm not sure if the version that they actually had for sale on their website did. But needless to say, it's still pretty cool having the Kickstarter version. It's quite a rare variant, and it's got a double-sided cover. Next up is Torn. And here we've got Toho Kabuto 5 Burst Battle, or Toho Kabuto 5 Burst Battle. I think this was released in... Is this a PAL version? Yeah, Region 2. Okay, so this is a PAL version. It was released in other territories. I remember seeing it originally with Japanese, but there you go. Next up is Tracklab. Notice this is the first German release. I think this was only available to buy in Germany on physical. Next up is Trackmania Turbo. There is a version that doesn't have the banner, so watch out for that if you want to collect this game. I think this is another game where the VR is actually just downloadable. And in fact, I think the book and the disc is actually exactly the same as the regular release. They just released it with the banner at the top there. Next up is Transparence. This is actually, it was released in Japan. This is the Hong Kong version again. It's got the, it's actually got English subtitles. In fact, the voice is in English anyway. So if you want to look out for that one, that's how it looks. Make sure you get the English subtitled version at least. I think it's Region 3. Yeah, Region 3. It's the Hong Kong release. Next is Trover Saves the Universe, from the creators of Rick and Morty. There's the back there. And it's got a pretty cool double-sided sleeve as well. Next is the Ultimate VR Collection. It's got 5 games. It's got Bandit 6, Combined Arms, Dext, Corix, Fated the Silent Oath, and Unearthing Mars. It's pretty cool actually, because in a second you'll see we've got Unearthing Mars 2. So if you want the first game on a physical disc, this is the... Next up we've got Ultra Wings. This is signed, so it's a Perp game. So the extra little download code and the pamphlet advertising the other games available from Perp. And Speak of the Devil is Unearthing Mars 2, The Ancient War. You can use the aim controller to play this game. Next up we've got Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. And next is Werewolves Within. Here is Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. A couple of nice little pamphlets in here. And possibly a double-sided sleeve there. Okay, here's a bit of an oddball one. This is Wipeout Amiga Collection. only I've used the standard release that was, it came in this cool PlayStation 1 style sleeve, and I've gone for the VR version inside. So this is how the game looks on the shelf today, without the sleeve. The original release that didn't have the VR banner, you could get it in the sleeve, which is cool, made to look cracked, like an original PlayStation 1 game. So I just sold my original release and got the new one that had the banner on the top there. Not sure if we went inside that, but there you go. Okay, next up is Volume, limited run games release. I think this was actually released before they started doing trading cards. So this is why this one hasn't got a trading card. Hopefully, anyway. Next is VR cards. Nearly finished now, guys. Last couple. VR Ping Pong Pro. Here is the Zen Studios VR collection. It's got a few games on. It's got Infinite Mini Golf, Out of Ammo, Castle Storm Virtual Reality, and Pinball FX2 VR. And the last game is Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars. Comes in a nice sleeve, shiny. Cool interior design. And a couple of little pamphlets on the top. So, as of March the 31st, 2020, that is every physical PSVR release to date. I've got some bonus things for you. If you are crazy like me and you just want to collect a game because it has VR as a part of the game, doesn't necessarily mean there's a banner or it's on the disc. It definitely isn't on the disc. But I've got a stack of a few games here that have VR content that you can get, you can download or buy for it separately. But you need the base game to play that VR content. So these are the physical releases of the base game, basically. So this is Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 Fortune. This was only released in Japan. And, okay, so this particular version is the Korean version. I think the Japanese version is only in Japanese. So I think this Korean version has, yeah, it has English subtitles. I can't remember if they're on the disc or you have to download it separately. Or I'm thinking of just the VR content. Okay, so I think this version of the game is in English with English subtitles. And the VR, you have to then make a Korean account and log on to purchase the VR content for this game. Something like that anyway. You might have to research that if you're interested. Then we've got Dreams. The VR patch, I think, is coming soon. As of May the 31st. This game isn't in VR, but I thought I'd show it you as it will be very soon. It's got a really thick book actually, but it's the same in all languages. So that's Dreams. It's just fun to just pick up anyway. Next we've got Hatsune Miku, Project Diva X. There's a very little bit of VR content as part of this game. I think it's like a costume dealer. Comes with a little pouch. I'm a Sega fanboy anyway, so I was always going to buy that for the Sega collection. And here's another Sega game. It's Mega Drive Classics. It's got over 50 original Mega Drive classic games on here. And believe it or not, it is actually in VR. You can view your bedroom in the game and pick your game. You can do all that in VR. This is a slightly newer version of the game. It comes with this extra little Sonic the Hedgehog the movie pamphlet that wasn't available originally. There's a little story to go with that. I gave a copy of this to a friend, and basically I rebought it, and so that was a nice little bonus to get Sonic the movie pamphlet. And it comes with a double-sided poster, Streets of Rage and Golden Axe. Next is Prey. I haven't actually tried it, but there's meant to be a couple of VR missions or something that you can download. This is the base game anyway, for Prey. Got quite a few little pamphlets. Okay. Next, it's actually advertised on the box, including the VR support for Blood Ties. But Rise of the Tomb Raider comes with a small VR mission. And it's got quite a nice, there's the disc. Nice little art book built into the game case. And last but not least is Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. Again, this is just these are downloadable VR mode, or I think if you update the game to the latest version, there's a VR option available, but this is the base game anyway. So those are a few extra games you might want to get. Doesn't have the VR band in, but they are potentially VR games for your collection. And finally, show off this Perp Games box, a bit of a Perp Games fanboy as well, and I managed to get the box that went with all of the physical releases at the time that they'd released so far. They all came inside here like this. I just got the box from them and asked if they would sign the box for me. It's pretty cool. There you go. Yeah, so it's a limited edition Perp Games Complete Collection 2017 to 2018. Haven't actually got them in here because I've got all my VR games displayed on my shelf, or at the moment they're all strewn everywhere across the floor in here after doing this video. But that is pretty much everything there, guys. I do want to add a little bit on to the end of this video just to say what is coming out very soon. I don't want to make this video outdated like within a week or two, so there's a few releases from Perp Games that are coming soon, and I think you can still pre-order them now on the store, so I'll put some links in the description for the Perp Games site, and also these upcoming releases from Perp Games that I'll probably pop on the screen somewhere now as I'm talking. So upcoming releases to keep an eye out for on the Perp Games store, there is Down the Rabbit Hole, and that comes as a limited signed edition with a bonus pack of cards. There's also Gun Club VR, which you can get as a limited signed edition as well, and Mini Motor Racing X, also as a limited signed edition, and Rus VR as a limited signed edition. If you want to get all three of those games, you can also pre-order the Binary Mill Collection limited signed edition that comes with an exclusive sleeve to house all three games, and all three games arrive signed as well. And the final upcoming release that I'm aware of is Iron Man VR, which you can get as a standalone game or as a boxed version with 2 Move controllers, finally. Okay guys, that is pretty much the end of the video. I want to thank you very much for sticking around till the very end here. If you did make it this far, I've got a special giveaway. I'm giving away a copy of ATV Drifting Tricks, the standard edition. If you want to win this game, basically just subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below saying that you made it all the way to the end of the video, and in a month's time I will pick out a winner. Then I will reply to the winning comment to say that you've won a copy of the game, and then we can take it from there. So thank you very much for watching, guys. See you again.